Hello. Hi, Chris.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Some explanation needs about Virgin Media this morning.
Yes. Internet crash.
However, our lovely guest today, the Kate Green, has moved all of her appointments around today to cater for this, to come back on at 4 o'clock. So let's start again, deja vu. Good afternoon and welcome to the Chris and Gloria's live Saturday chat show, Open Minds. Firstly and foremost, Chris and I would like to thank you all for your all you amazing viewers and friends for supporting our show. The feedback, the love, the support we have had from here in the UK and I must say around the world has inspired us. There is a profound depth within spirituality that this show will explore, and how spirituality is emerging within the new paradigm that is facing humanity now. So thank you all for all your support and for all your input, ideas and feedback. It's been amazing, Chris, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Enjoying it, Gloria. New adventure.
I'm loving it.
It's nice, the topics we've got coming up as well. So, and we do appreciate it. The people that support
coming up.
Well.
Yeah. I think again we've got a bit of a lag, but we will push through this. We will not be beaten.
No.
Okay. Right then, so let's get on. It's Saturday afternoon and your weekend continues here. And what a show we have for you today. Our guest today is the evidential medium, Kate Green. However, Kate will not be talking about her mediumship today. Kate will share with us her experience as a child when she saw spirit, and unlike our guest Alfie last week, who has an open and supportive family and environment, Kate will speak about her childhood, her environment, the condemnation, the dogma, and the minimising of her experience, which ultimately led to her inner response, eventually affecting her psychologically, emotionally, and physically. Kate's story will resonate with many of us here today, and it will highlight some of the hidden aspects of spirituality that needs to be brought out into the open and addressed. So would you like to invite our first guest of the day in, Kate Green?
Hello.
Good afternoon, Kate.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Open Minds.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's an honour for us to have you on. Obviously, we're all over the place today because of the gremlins this morning on the internet. Once again, thank you so much for rearranging your day. Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, so really the show now is yours. Okay, I'll start with a question. Is if you could take us back to your childhood, as Alfie was explaining last Saturday, where it started with you, the responses, the minimisation, the effects, what we will label negative effects on yourself. And I hand it over to Kate Green.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know where to start, really. I will say I always remember, I just always remember being scared. That is, and mainly being scared of the dark was a big thing, and that hasn't changed because I'm still scared of the dark now. When lights go off, your physical vision stops, and that's when your psychic vision comes in. So I just always remember being afraid. I always remember being scared. I obviously my family wasn't supportive. It was just necessarily they sort of didn't take me on, if you will. because my nan was a medium, and she sort of, I used to ask her questions. I couldn't wait to see her, you know, because I knew I could throw questions at her. She was a very clairaudient medium, so I knew I could ask her. But when she passed to spirit when I was 14, there's nobody to ask then, is there? There's nobody to ask. So it's a very confusing time, especially when you're that age. And there's all this stuff going on, and you're going through teenage years as well, you know. But the first time I remember a story my dad once told me, and he said, when you was a toddler and you used to be in the cot in our bedroom, you used to talk. Fresh air used to just rabble and talk. So they used to pretend, my mum and dad, that they were throwing spiders in my cot, so I got to sleep. But my dad said, you were that stubborn, you picked the spiders up and threw them out and carried on talking to whoever it is that was there. So obviously I was doing it then. But the first memory is of being around age 7. And I used to talk, probably the first time I'm admitting this in public, but I used to talk to a man in the mirror in my bathroom. And I couldn't wait to get home from school because I knew I'd be able to go and talk to him. And I just remember him being in the mirror and me talking back to him and him talking to me. And I copied what he was doing. Well, he was having a shave. So I did it. And that is my that is my first memory of doing that. Wow. I also remember getting in trouble because I'd used my dad's razor. Yeah, so that's the first. Yeah.
When this kicked in, hold on, I'm jumping in before Chris. There's so much to run. When this kicked in, obviously you're at school. Was it affecting, or how did it affect in school? Were you open and say this is happening, and then people would shut you down or anything? How was it happening in school?
Well, it was more the condemnation in school, if I'm honest. I did used to do it in school. I got took into the head teacher's office, and I was told that I hadn't to do that again. We don't do things like that here at this school. We're going to have to speak to your mum, which I don't think they did. But yeah, it just made me withdraw into myself. So I thought maybe I shouldn't be telling people what I'm saying, what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling. That's my husband decorating upstairs. Sorry. And yeah, so you know, I just sort of withdrew and didn't talk about it. Only to my very, very best friend, who was a lifelong friend. She knew. I used to tell her things. I remember there's a couple of incidents happened at school, and I probably got myself in a lot of trouble. And I don't think the priest liked me very much because.
So it was a Catholic school that you was in.
Catholic school, yeah, it was a Catholic school. And obviously my family are Catholics. My granddad, he didn't believe in any of this. He thought it was really wrong, even though his mum was a medium. You know, so hearing that, then it makes you think even more. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about these things. But I remember a couple of incidents in school, and the night before you know, when you do your reading books, well, you're supposed to. So I'm youngest of 5. So my brothers and sisters were all working, so they used to do the reading with me. But this book I was reading was Doris Stokes because it belonged to my mum. So so my brother did the reading with me, and he let me read Doris Stokes' book because she'd just lost her mum, so she had to find something. She wanted to talk to her mum, obviously, again. So I was reading this book, and then the next day I went into school, and you know, they let you play on the grass, don't they, in the summertime? So you can play on the grass. So I got these 3 boys. They're very bossy. I was very bossy then, and I'm still bossy now. But I got these 3 boys. Yes. I got these 3 boys, and I got them to lie on the grass. But I said to them, I remember saying, so I must have picked something up in this book. I said, make sure your head is facing the church. So these 3 boys lined up, and then the head faced the church. And then I made a triangle of grass cuttings at the top of the head. I remember doing it. And so I made these grass cuttings. And then I walked round them in a circle, and I said, right, we're going to play mediums. So I'm walking around them in a circle, and I'm saying, yeah, and this is your granddad, and this is what he looks like. Well, this boy started crying, like really, really. And obviously you get scared then because you're like, oh no, I'm going to get into trouble. So the dinner lady come running over and said, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? And he said, I remember the boy, I won't say his name obviously on here, but I remember the boy said, she's just been talking to my granddad and he died last week. He died last week. So that's when I got taken to the head teacher's office and he said, we haven't to do things like that here. And what I wanted to say was, why not if the priest does it?
Yes, I hear you.
And nothing against the Catholic faith or any other faith, but I wanted to say, well, why? Why not? Why can't I? So anyway, that's basically, I just kept it to myself after then.
This sort of, you're shut down,
Yeah.
whatever institution, how did that affect you inwardly yourself? You're obviously at that age, you're very hormonal. You're going through all of them experiences of a young girl. How did that affect you mentally? Did you get low? Did you get depressed? Or were you thinking this is wrong at any point? I shouldn't be doing it? Or how did you feel?
I wouldn't say I got depressed or anything like that. I just felt like I didn't belong. I always felt like I didn't belong. If we were having photographs, I would be the one that didn't like the photograph. I would be the one right on the end, nowhere near anybody else, because I could hear what everybody else was saying in their heads. So it was like there's nobody to help me control what it was that was going on. So yeah. I would say I just withdrew.
Okay. Sorry, Chris, I'm sure you've got a million questions. I'm just jumping in there.
No, I was just finding it really fascinating, Kate, to be honest. I can imagine that was quite scary as well and puzzling with what you've just said, do you know what I mean? So I'm sat here, I find it really interesting, fascinating, especially at school.
Obviously we're looking at, in school, like with Alfie and Kate, Chris, isn't it? The comparison between the two from last week, the experience of your experience and obviously Chris's experience, anyone that's slightly older. I was going to ask you on that note is, where do you think, or what do you think, or how should we approach it today? Like we're in 2021 and we are aware, like Alfie last week is experiencing these energies, and we've got ETs and all of their own, all and everything kind of coming in. How do you think we should address this with young people today? How do you think what would have helped you at that age if you could have asked for it?
Probably somebody sitting down with me, being able to sit down with me and explain what it is that was going on, and that I wasn't weird or strange or different. I was the same as everybody else. It was just it had happened a lot sooner for me. That would have helped. I always said with my girls, all my girls are very mediumistic, Holly from being born. And I always sat with them and I said, I never encouraged them, but I never discouraged them either, because, they're entitled to live a physical existence as well, So I just said, well, just tell me what it is you're saying and we'll sort of explain it. So Alfie's very lucky that he's got two medium parents who can sit down and explain it, I suppose if my mum had started to go to church a lot sooner than that, it would have been a bit different. But she never, and it just sort of worked out like this, There was another incident. Let me tell you about this one. I just remembered about this, and I actually didn't know that about this till a couple of years. Another medium gave it to me. So every night after tea, my dad's self-employed, so he used to come home and do his bills in the other room, and I'd sit in the back room and watch Barker Grove and whatnot. But every night about 6 o'clock, there'd be a knock on the door, and it were always 3 times, and it would always be me that went to answer this door. So I went to answer the door, and this man always came in, and he had no hair, and he's got teeth missing at the front, and then he had this like donkey jacket on, and they were cold out, and I knew he was cold out. So I used to say, come in, I'll get my dad. So he used to come in and stand in the room where I was sat, and he'd always be stood there looking at me, and it used to make me so uncomfortable. And I think, why does he keep staring at me? And I'd go, Dad, all right, see you. And my dad would go, all right. But this was every night. So a couple of years ago, I said to my dad, do you remember Art who used to come to our house and after tea, and you used to ignore him? He said, I don't know who you're talking about. I said, your dad, you do. He said, yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know anybody called Art. And another medium in a circle gave him to me.
Yeah.
And she said, it wasn't real for anybody else, but it was for you because you were the only person who'd seen him.
Well, I mean, that touches on one like myself. I mean, obviously, you know, some people say you can't see a full-bodied spirit. I would say, well, in my experience, you can. As when I was younger, they were just as real as anyone else in the room.
Yeah.
And I don't like to use the word, some people poo-poo that or whatever, but young children today, and I heard of a teenager 2 weeks ago, well, teenager, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old saying, I just seen a full-bodied being, but they were spirit. Okay. And I think that needs to come out as well, that, you know, you can feel spirit energy, you can get mind view, but you can actually have them in the room, or like in your case, knocking on the door every night. So I think that's another thing, because I have heard people say, no, you can't see full body, but yes, you can. So it's not just one person experience, multiple experiences of this.
Yes. And at that age, that was very real to me. That was very real. Yes. I mean, even up until a few years ago, I thought that happened every night, but obviously it didn't.
Yeah. No,
so
it didn't. It only happened to you. Exactly.
I'm sorry about
that. No, it's okay.
Oh, please. You know, it doesn't matter. We were supposed to do this morning, but due to the lovely Virgin Media, it didn't happen. Everything happens for a reason at the right time. So we were very grateful for you coming on.
So, Kate, was it always as vivid and as intense as that? Or was there a spell where it quietened off, came back in again, or was it continuous?
It appears to be. Until I got to the age where I started going to mediums myself. So around the age of 17, 18, when I started driving, me and my best friend, we just got a car and went off and went to visit these mediums. So it wasn't as, I wouldn't say it wasn't as clear as it was before. But then we started, you know, going off on our own and doing.
That's a really interesting answer, and it poses another question, because I can relate that to myself, that they were so clear, they were real, you couldn't tell the difference, and I thought everyone was seeing what I was seeing. But the point where I connected to other spiritual mediums with what was going on, it tended to fade it a bit. Why would that happen? What's your answer to that? Why would that happen?
I would say they probably don't have to come as close when you're visiting a medium and getting your answers via a medium. You can't. So they probably don't have to appear as close as they did, you know, before. That's my feeling on it. Yeah.
I mean, also there's another aspect I would like to stay on about seeing full, you know, bodied spirit. Is I had a conversation with a senior psychologist a couple of months ago about this and schizophrenia. Okay. And the conversation was because I had an elder brother who had schizophrenia, but he saw spirit. And back in the day and nowadays, because I'm older slightly than you two, you were either locked up or drugged or whatever for that. And she gave me a great insight that the services today in mental health are starting to recognize that it's not always schizophrenia when people say, the young people, I'm seeing this person. It's not. So we know that's coming out. Obviously, it depends what they're telling them to do. However, most of the time they can say maybe 60%. It's not schizophrenia. They're labeled because they're still being condemned. This is still not acceptable. This is still taboo to see spirit. It goes against the what's our belief system. We are a Christian country. So, for example, if we go to India, there's not going to be a problem. If we go to the Amazon, there's not going to be a problem. I mean, but we are in a Christian country and we still have a collective consciousness that has got a base foundation of Christianity that, no, you don't do that. Only the priests can speak to the dead. Only the vicars can speak to the dead, but you cannot. So that opens up something now in mental health that maybe, parents that are concerned about their children, yes, do go to the doctor. But there are psychologists and psychiatrists out there now that are opening up a bit more.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I think the worst thing is if someone doesn't believe your experience, it's your experience. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's your experience. So looking at that, how could we go further in bringing this out that, I don't know, if we start, we're looking at the mainstream spirituality at the moment, and I have been doing a lot of research. When we talk about a full-bodied spirit and the energy spirit, so to speak, do you think it's time, or just me, is it time for that to come back, that sort of spirituality to come back to, I don't know. I mean, I've met 1, 2, 4, 5 now teenagers that are seeing full-bodied spirits and other beings.
Yes.
It's happening. There's something shifting.
There is, definitely. And maybe they need to go and see, go to a church or go to a medium or go and get some advice as well.
Yeah.
And then, because it is quite frightening when you see him full body. It is. It is. Especially if you see an arm or an hand or a foot.
Or, as Chris says, or the eyes, Gloria, the eyes.
The eyes,
isn't it?
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to say is, how do we normalize it? How now do we normalize this? I mean, there's multiple ways, but if you've got any ideas, I mean, how do we normalize this? What should we do? What should we say to the young people today who haven't got parents like Karen and Chris? And I think, okay, go to the spiritualist church, find a medium. Don't go to the priest. I wouldn't go to the priest. No. Definitely not. Any questions from you, Chris? Because I just find this all exciting. It's very personal to me.
It's fascinating. I love the stories as well. I think it's nice listening to the experiences because people can relate, to the different experiences. But I just think it's amazing that someone knocked on your door all the time. Answered the door and said, "Yeah, go in, no worries."
I used to think, why is your dad being so rude? That's what I used to think. Why is he ignoring him?
Did you ever find, I'm asking this because of desire, do you ever find that when you started to, as a young girl, start to, date, did it ever get in the way?
No, not really, because at that point, it had become part of me anyway. So it was sort of, if I saw people there, or I just acknowledged them and carried on. I kept a lot to myself. I kept a lot. Like so I say, we're only a really close friend who probably knew everything. Yeah.
I was just going to ask you then, Kurt, do you see more now than you did younger? And is it in more detail now? And how do you feel a change from when you used to get it then to now being an adult?
Yes, it's very different now.
A few questions in one, but
yeah, it's very different now. I suppose now I've learned the discipline. Now I know all about, or as much as I can, about energies and things like that. So it's not being able to control it; it's getting used to it and knowing it's just part of you. Rather than a separate entity, no, I don't see as much like full-blown apparitions than I did, but I do now and again. But I've asked them not to do that.
Yeah. Hello, no, don't do that. Yeah. I suppose when we're children, and it's said, and when we connect like that, we don't have that fear. We don't know it's not sociably acceptable. We don't have all of them, the dogma. We don't have that, so it's more free going. And as we get conditioned through life and the roles we play, a mother, a father, and we go, well, this is inappropriate now. We can't do it this way now. However, it's still going to lead to future programs that we have coming on, me and Chris and guest speakers. We're talking about this goes on to the expansion of consciousness. I mean, we're not going to stay in spirituality that was about 200 years ago. It's been going on since the beginning of time, but sort of established, you know, what we should do and shouldn't do. Consciousness is expanding now, and we're fully aware from the younger people that are coming up, what they're seeing. We have other energy beings, we have ETs, we have, this is now coming in. So the consciousness is shifting. It is a new paradigm, it is a new era. So we cannot stagnate and stay back the way we come in with the fear and the control, because I do feel there is an element, and I may be wrong, so please don't, you know, send hate mail. However, I do feel there's still a amount of control over spirituality, and you're not allowing you to individually express your own spirituality. So how do you feel about that, Kate?
I think that's very true. And in my experiences, I feel like it's changing a little bit, probably quite a lot, if I'm fair. I feel like it is changing. Because I know this because I'm under consultants, as you know, and they talk about it. They talk about things like Reiki and universal healing, and they don't talk about spiritual healing, but they've talked about bringing Reiki into the hospital and things like that. So do know it is changing. You know, even my neurosurgeon said to me, do Tai Chi. That's what he said. And he encouraged me to go and do it. He didn't know I was going to do it at spiritual church. But that, you know, I think people are getting more open-minded and seeing that there is a lot more out there that we can do, you know. And back to going, when I was a child, and Chris and you, and we couldn't ask questions, we couldn't talk about it. Only the priest could talk to God, and, you know, and I did ask him another question, the priest, that he really didn't like me, you know. He was doing a class, and he said, has anybody got any questions? So I put my hand up. Have you ever done an exorcism? Well, I got sent out there.
Lord.
But I was curious. I wanted to know. I didn't know we weren't supposed to talk about things. But, you know, that's part of it.
It is part of it. And as I said, it's the questions that young people that I've encountered that are asking, I'm going, oh, my God, is it safe for them to ask that? You know, but then I realized, yes, it is safe. Yes, it is safe. So we've still got that control. I think the control is still there with the Christianity. I do, but as it's dissipating. It is dissipating, with the other energies coming in, and young people saying, "Well, young people seem to be born knowing everything now." I don't know about your children, but mine are just connected like that. Listen, kids just connect now. You know, it's like you must have noted, Kate. We've had a conversation before. You on a development circle, or you know, that maybe a few years ago would take a long period of time to. Now they're in, giving amazing evidence, which shows the energy is changing. There is no need to go through the long, drawn-out process that you would take maybe. How long would it take years ago, Kate, to become a qualified, in brackets, medium?
Some people I know are still sitting in circles from 20 years ago.
Okay. But the fact is, in circles today, they're just mediums that just switch on.
Yes.
They're there.
Yeah.
I've seen them in your circle. I have seen them.
People are a lot more open-minded as well, and I suppose it goes along the lines of being able to express yourself as well. Because if you're not afraid to tell people what you can see, feel, or hear, or so when you feel safe, when you're in a safe environment, you know people, you're in the same boat, then it's a bit easier to tell somebody, isn't it? Whereas back when we were younger, we were frightened of being ridiculed or feeling different, or people laughing at you, and you know,
condemned, diagnosed with schizophrenia, or you know, it's okay. I do remember a question myself saying to a religious person in school. I went to an all-girls school. It was Christian. How come you can talk to God and I can't? Why do I have to go to you to talk to God? And I was I was on detention. I was on everything, I think. I haven't even got paid. I dared to ask a question. And we see young people today, they're asking these questions. And as soon as they start, they don't get the cane no more, thank God. But as soon as they ask these questions, they're condemned. You've got ADHD, you've got this, you've got that, possible ASD. We could have a bit of schizophrenia. Still there, it's hovering above them. But these children, the young people today, a bit like Alfie. I mean, Alfie is he's so in his own space. You know, if his dad wasn't supporting him, I don't think it would stop Alfie being an amazing communicator.
And that's really good. That's really good. That just shows he's got, you know, he trusts himself and he's all right with who he is. And I like that.
So I think with the new generation coming up, the old ways are not going to stop it. So we need to merge. We need to look at it differently and start looking at the bigger picture. Where is this going? What worked generically in the past to help spirituality through doesn't work anymore. To a degree, it assists. You need the discipline, you need, you know, the understanding, you need the structure, but more, I think, needs to be done. Would you agree, especially concerning young people that would have benefited you when you was a child?
Yeah, most definitely. I can see, coming from sort of my experience and seeing my girls' experience now, they're able to tell me things they've seen, and they know they're not going to get laughed at. They know I'm not going to say, "Oh, don't be stupid. You can't see anything." Like that. I'm going to stick with them and say, "This is why you're seeing it, and there's nothing wrong with that." Do you know? So there's like, you know, like we had a lot of frightening films at that time, didn't we? That we're allowed to watch. We had no age range on them. So at that time, you know, you watched Amityville Horror and all that, and then you tell somebody you've seen something. That's put it in the same boat, don't they? Whereas now,
Kate, that's such a great insight, Kate. That is such a great insight. You're correct. Yes.
I mean, my middle girl, as you both know her, she used to come home from school and she'd say, "I've been in assembly today, and I can see all these colours and these lights around my teacher when she's talking." So then I sat with her and said, "Well, this is Aurora and this is what you're seeing." And you know, she's all right with that. It didn't frighten her. And then she'd say, "Why do I keep floating above my bedroom?" So I knew what she was talking about. Whereas when you did that, you've nobody to ask. If you've nobody
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do recall my son way back. He was about 10. I can't recall, a long time ago. And he come up and he said, "Mum, I woke up. I was above my bed." And then I went down. I went, "Oh, it's okay. You just astral projected. Don't worry about it." Okay, happy with. You know. So it's a case of. This is what we're looking at in your case, in my case, and Chris's. I mean, maybe not so much Chris. In the past, the dogma, the control, the minimizing. I mean, this is the one that gets me. The word minimizing is a hard word to say when you're live on a chat show. Of anyone's experience, any child's experience.
Yes.
To minimize it, to take it away, that is so wrong. And I know in my case, it caused a lot of problems through the years. The damage was done. And so it's the unpicking of that and connecting and trying to understand, but then you've got to let that go. So, I feel the minimizing of this problem needs to be addressed as well. Educating people, doing shows like this.
Yeah,
doing great. Shows like this.
It's great. And as well, like when you're that age, when you're a teenager and you're going through all these changes anyway, you feel different anyway. So, and then all this other stuff is going on as well. So you feel even more out of it, like you don't fit in. And that can last a lifetime. Not feeling like you fit in anywhere can last, can't it? Unless you change yourself.
It can. I've taken over the show, Chris. Do you have any questions?
It's like the fear, though. I feel, I don't know if you agree, Kate and Gloria, but the fear is the biggest part, I feel. Because even though you want to be individual, and that's what we're trying to get to, it's not, I think that the word normal is the wrong word to use, but just to explain it, you want to see it as it's okay, do you know what I mean? It's normal, it's just one of those things. But I think the fear is the biggest part of it, if you ask me, because the fear can manifest to other things. that are not necessarily going on. Do you get what I mean? That we, as humans, we create something, but it's not really what the experience is. Do you get what I'm saying? Because we've manifested something into it because we're scared.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that fear thing's what I feel, I don't know if you agree, but needs to be tackled, because this is where, like you say, with the teenagers and younger who have these experiences, have no one to communicate to, no one to talk to, or they get shut down straight away when they say it. That fear's still there.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be anything to fear. It's about being individual and being happy with who you are. But unless that's addressed, then...
I mean, the fear itself, I mean, we all will agree. And I had a conversation with one of you the other day. If the shadow, I call them shadow people, if a shadow person goes past me in the daytime, I don't fear the dead, I fear the living. If a shadow person goes past me in the daytime, I just see them go. But my goodness, if all the lights are off and it's dark and they go past, I'm like, I'm not scared of them. I think it's an alive being, okay? Now, that stays in you. It's a conditioned response from childhood. We all hid in the cupboards, did we not? Yes. We all couldn't get out of bed at night. We were all underneath, because as soon as we looked, they were there. Yeah. So that energy stays in. So that's a conditioned response. The generation coming up now, they don't, thank God, they don't seem to have it so much. However, there is times, I remember my children, you must have your children too, both of you, saying, Mum, I saw this go past me. And so you sit them down, that's fine. Mum, they were like a shadow, nothing wrong with that. They're minding their business, let them go. And that stops that fear that Chris is speaking about. I still have it, Chris and Kate. I still have that fear.
Well, I do it in a dark room.
In a dark room.
I'm a scared cat in the dark.
You know. But hopefully the next generation's coming up, and as consciousness expands, these children don't seem to have that. It's not the foundation of it. So they, you know, it won't regurgitate every time a shadow person goes past you in the dark. So that is a way forward, but it still could happen. So still, I think more education needs to go out. I do know in the future, there are great plans in the future with Kate and her church and what they're going to do in the educational area, and they will be addressing all of these things. So we know that's coming in the future, but and it will be like an example to follow when you do this, Kate. I'm not giving too much away. However, but we do need more. We do need more information, more education. I'm always learning. We're always learning from others. No one knows the right way, but by coming together and opening up and educating each other, well, should we address this? Let's talk about this. No, that's taboo. No, let's talk about this. It's say to children that say, I see shadow people. That's okay. Let's talk about it. How do you feel? You know, there's many cases with children that I've worked with in the past. They've been really scared. They can't sleep at night, blah, 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 because they've seen a shadow person, for example. Yeah. But when someone sat down with them and said, there's nothing to fear, I'm with you, ask them, who are you? That what perceived to be negative energy dissipates and the spirit comes through. And it was just the child's perception because of the environment the child was raised in. Yeah. So this is where I'm going with this. I think, so I think more of this sort of education to parents that have children. Yeah. Most of your children will see spirit. Would you agree, guys? Yes. They see spirit. Yes. What do we say? We're happy. It's socially acceptable to say, oh, the baby in the cot talking to the angels. It's always angels. Always. I don't think Kate was talking to angels in her cot, you know, having the conversation. But we see how it's controlled by the dogma, talking to angels. So the church will let you talk to angels. Yeah. Yeah. You see? You can't talk to your granddad. You can't talk to your granddad or your grandma. You can talk to the angels. So then if you go through child development, if you go through the developmental process, the child will pick that up. Well, like you did, I did, and Chris did. Well, what do you mean I can talk to angels? Well, I want to talk to my granddad. I don't want a name. Yeah. So the child will pick that up, and the child, then you have the behavioural problems, and that has happened in schools. That has happened.
Yeah.
Children are having issues, behavioural problems, because a child will detect a lie from an adult just like that. Just like that. You'll find autistic children, you can't lie to an autistic child. They know it, just like that. So this is what I'm saying. We've got this energy shift, and education needs to come in. How are we going to deal with this? We can't sit back and say, oh, yes, consciousness is expanding, we're all wonderful. No, we're not. We need to take responsibility. We need to take responsibility, especially when it concerns young people. How do you feel about that?
There is a real lack of understanding, isn't it? And the people that have the lack, it's not really their fault, because we've all been brought up into this system, haven't we? Where you know, only priests, ministers, whoever it is, can talk to God, and the rest of us have to talk to the angels, like you said. So it is a lack of understanding, really, isn't it? But it just, whoever we are at this moment, you know, me, you, Chris, anybody else, any other mediums, just about helping people if they come to us. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
I think for parents yes, exactly. I mean, there are many parents, I had them. There are many parents that don't see spirit, but the child does. Okay. So for parents today, that if your child says, I'm talking to grandma last night, you know, have a conversation, give them 100% focus and listen to their story. A good few years ago, one of my daughters moved and took my grandson. He was only a toddler, 4 or something, and he'd get up in the morning and say to him, and I don't think I'm dead, by the way, hello, but he would say, Grandma come and played with me in the bedroom last night before I went to sleep for about 5 nights, because he'd moved house. Now, I must have gone in my sleep. Obviously, I don't think I'm dead. But my daughter say, oh, that's lovely. That's really lovely that Grandma did that. Grandma must have come out of her dreams and visited you because you've just moved house. You see? So I'm very fortunate that her as a parent did the right thing with my grandchild. So I'm saying today, would you agree? No one knows the right or the wrong way. There's no right or wrong way. You just try. If you don't see spirit yourself and your children do, and they come, I would always put the advice in there preempted with, if your child sees or hears anything that tells it to do something that's detrimental or dangerous, then you do need to seek medical advice. The spirit never, ever do any harm to you. However, there is schizophrenia. It's like this at the moment in the medical field, how to do, discern between the two. Listen to your child, and still listen to your child, because your child may tell you something that you need to seek medical help for. So listen to what the child's saying. Don't poo-poo it. Don't say, no, we don't talk about that. No, dead people don't exist. Even if it's your own belief system, because you'll find you'll do more help to that child and its psychological development than if you just shut them down like we were shut down. And we're still scared of the dark. We're still scared of the monster under the bed. Who doesn't? I used to have a bed with legs on, with a gap. No more than I have. The divans. Touch the floor. No one's still going under my bed. It's still in there. Still in there.
I remember staying up all night. I remember staying up all night because I was so scared, and then I'd start itching and thinking I had something on me, and then I'd hear all these voices all at once, like one big mesh of voices, and it weren't a nice feeling, and I couldn't wait for the sun to come up. I used to keep looking at it and still going up yet.
I mean, it's true. I mean, there is. I mean, no one has the answer to everything. It's just it's a discussion. Me and Chris, we wanted to open it up today, and we knew you'd be the best guest to open it up to us because of your past experiences. Just to put it out there, let people use a bit of discernment. Try not to judge. Use a bit of discernment. Is change needed? I mean, I when I go into, I have popped into your groups, and I haven't gone into Chris's yet, obviously because I work with him co-hosting, and as you're well aware, way back in the day, I went into the church and quickly come out of the church, And I've seen fresh in your group, your church, it's fresh, new ideas, everyone's individual, everyone brings something to the table, you're guided, you're supported, and just because you experience spirituality different to the next person, you're still accepted within that group.
Yes.
You don't, it's a bit like you can't all conform to the one way. You know, when you go to school, you wear the same uniform, you have to dress the same, look the same, be the same. Cloning, taking away the individuality of a human being. We all disagree with that. Yeah, I think it's the same in spirituality.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to see, you want to hear different experiences, different mediums every week, or else it'd just be boring.
It would be boring
if you heard the same thing weekend. So you want to see different people with different views, different ways of working, different experiences.
Yeah.
I like that. I like uniqueness. I like that.
Yeah. And it also, it's starting to, I've noticed it's bringing back the humour, the fun that it should be. I mean, me and Chris spoke about that today, didn't you? Said you were really happy. You were just smiling. You know that joy when you're loving your role, what you're doing. You're loving experience the spirit world, or whether you're doing psychometry, mediumship, spirit art. It really doesn't matter what you do, but you're actually in that creative. Because really, spirituality is about creativity. Yeah, it's all about creativity. You're constantly creating and creating and creating. Yes, Chris. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's funny as well, because I'm sure Kate will agree it's for helping others. So even though we're getting this out there, that it needs to be talked about more on the medium side, for the medium, if you like. The medium's role, in a sense, is to collectively bring everyone together and bring a balance and bring a bit of peace. So if they're not getting the balance and peace, then it can't be. It's difficult for the other way around. Do you know what I mean? And fundamentally, everyone's after the other way around straight away, where it's like the message, give me the message, give me the guidance, give me this, give me that. But on the same score,
I agree.
Medium needs taken care of as well, don't they? Like the kids growing up, and like you say, the labels that have been added to it, that really only give a vague understanding of what it actually is. I never really knew, I'll be honest with you, the word spiritualist. No idea. I knew the word medium, of course I did, but the word spiritualist or spiritual, didn't really come into mind.
It's amazing what people still don't know. I mean, I told you before the other day that I spent many years, and I'd look at mediums. I see them on the TV. You'd hear about them back in the day, the old school mediums and Tony Stockton and that, and I'd say, oh my God, this is what I would say. They talk to dead people. And it wasn't until I met, God bless her soul, rest in peace, I met this amazing circuit medium called Wendy. And I'm going, my God, you're weird. You all talk to dead people. And she went, Gloria, who do you talk to? And it just never computed. I never knew about even what this was. I had no idea at all that this was all going on, and then what I'd been doing. Seriously, it was normal for me. I didn't know I was to dead people. Many like me, many that don't know nothing about spirituality or.
And the stereotype as well. The stereotype of it. I know that's changed a lot. When you used to think of fortune tellers and all that, it's all right. You've got the lady on the seafront with a crystal ball and a headscarf on. You know what I mean? It isn't that way at all.
No.
The image, I think the image and everything, or the perceptions are starting to change as well.
Yeah.
So.
And there's another aspect, Kate, and I'd like your opinion on this is like, when you go to a medium, you go, I say old school because it's all changing now, is you used to go to a medium to evidence life after death. That was the main thing of spirituality back in the day, to evidence there is life after death and there's no such thing as hell and heaven and all the other blah, blah.
Yeah.
That was very good then. And that was part of the collective consciousness, the evolution of consciousness to go. Today, we don't need that proof. Some do, the odd one or two. Today, it's more like if someone passes, It's that connection. It can heal a heart immediately. That is still so needed. However, there's more coming through, and I don't know if you've noticed it, when I've listened to some mediums, and when they're demonstrating, they're bringing in wisdom. They're bringing in a knowing that has not been there before. They're connecting to something higher than just the family. Would you agree with that, or is it just me?
No, I agree with you. Like you say, a lot of people don't really need the evidence of spirit. When you're giving them a message, they need that communication. They need to feel the connection between the two people, you know. What we forget is that we are really just an in-between. So when we're working, it is about the two people that you uniting, if you will. A lot of people, and we all do it, we seem to focus on this right here, but it's not about that. It's about the spirit person and the person in front. Also, it's, you know, they want to feel them. They want a message to remember. But a lot more mediums now are working on the philosophy on different sides of it. It's what I say. A lot of mediums have a sideline, don't they? A lot of mediums have another ability that they're good at. And it seems to be quite a lot of mediums are going back to the old philosophical ways, and you know, all these positive quotes, and you know, those people that do the circuits in America, the motivational speakers, it's getting more like that, which is what we need.
It's what we need. I agree. I agree. I agree.
Spirit thinks so as well, because they're bringing a lot in, aren't they? A lot of new.
They are. It's changing. Even the classes that we see that are coming out are changing. They're not the same ones from before. So I think that's a brilliant answer. Chris, I will let you speak. You know what I'm like. Do you have any last questions?
I think the evidence has changed, I'll be honest with you as well. I don't know if Kate noticed that. From the way that it used to be delivered going back to the way it's delivered now, the evidence is a lot different as well of what we find, what the medium tries to get and bring forward. And that's sort of different as well. But yeah, Kate, I know obviously like you had your journey young and growing up. Did you go to? You'll have developed yourself in terms of the spirit and the energy and everything developing you. But to gain that bit of understanding, how did you go about that? Did you go to Spiritualist Church, or what happened? Do you know what I mean? And when did it happen, sort of, for you?
Right. Well, like I say, when around 17, 18, I started going to churches. I've since found out that my nan, who was a medium, I thought she was taking me to Oxfam in the morning on the school holidays to help her, and then her Methodist church in the afternoon. I've since found out it wasn't a Methodist church at all. It was Spiritualist Church. So I've since found out I've probably got a little bit of insight there, even though I'm only young and I think I've not picked anything up. So probably got an insight there. Then I went to visit mediums. We went to Spiritualist Church. I used to love going. Oh, I used to love going when I was that age, driving in my little car. But then life got in the way. I had children. You know, now and again I used to go and visit mediums. It wasn't as full on as it was. And then my last daughter, actually, when I was pregnant with my last child, I went to see a medium, and she absolutely frightened the life out of me. I will tell you that. I was pregnant at the time. She told me I was having a boy. It wasn't. It was a girl. Anyway, she said, when I got home that night, and she rung me. She rung me up at home. Bear in mind, I'm huge. I'm pregnant. And she said, they've told me to ring you. Well, not understanding. I said, who have? Who told you to ring me? She said, my guides. She said, I want to teach you. And this baby that you're having is going to be very gifted. Well, I took that the wrong way, not understanding. So it frightened me. I thought there was something going to be wrong with my baby. And then she kept ringing, very persistent. So in the end, my husband had to answer the phone to her because she scared me, you know. So I think that stumbled me a little bit and put me off a little bit. So then when I was, well, actually, Holly, my eldest one, she said to me when she was 4, Mummy, when you're 37, you're going to die. We just sat in the car one day. And I said, oh, thanks very much, Holly. She went, no, I'm really sorry, Mummy, but you are. And then she said, I was like, oh, great. And then she said, and when I was a boy, my name was Daniel and my daddy was a soldier, and I used to live in an house like this, and it was a big old terraced house. And I'm like, oh, did you? But we don't live in an house like that now. She said, no, not this time, before. So I listened to her, and I remembered what she'd said, and she did. And it was coming up to like 30, 35. I thought, oh, I've only got 2 years left now. Anyway, what happened was I started being really ill. Extreme headaches, in and out of hospital, back operations, and then these headaches. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I went to see loads of neurosurgeons. They didn't know what was wrong with me either. In the end, I got transferred to another hospital, and they said to me, if we don't operate now, you're going to die. And I said, what? He said, well, I'll tell you how serious it is. I've already signed the forms. He said, so I want you in, like, tomorrow. I said, my friend's getting married. We're going to be bridesmaids, me and my girls, my best friend. And he said, well, I'll give you the weekend, but I want you in Monday. So anyway, I did, went and had the operation. But that's what Holly meant, because after that, I ended up going to a church. I think it was the January time. My operation was the November, and obviously I still had the scar in my hair was still shaved off, but you couldn't see it. And my best friend said, I'm going to tell you, no, this is what happened. I was 2 weeks after my operation. I was stood in my kitchen, having a panic about my tablets, because I couldn't remember anything. You know what it's like. You know, you've got this brain operation, you can't remember stuff. And I was potting them up, and I was panicking. I didn't know if I'd already taken them or what I should be having. And from the back splash thing at the cooker, I saw a lady full foam at my kitchen door. And I just looked at her. She looked at me. And then I turned around, and she was still there. We were just looking at each other. I thought, what am I supposed to do now? So, like, I could describe everything she had on. And I said to my husband, I think it might have been your grandma. I don't know who it was. And he said, well, what did they want? I said, I don't know. So then I told my friend, and she said, we're going to go back to church. So she took me. And there was a medium working that night. He's actually, unfortunately, he's passed his spirit. But he came to me, and he said, you have extreme headaches. There's something wrong with you, with like your head area. There's something wrong. He said, but I'll tell you now, you saw a lady in your kitchen, and this is what she looks like. He said, her name's Flo, and she'd like you to start sitting in a circle, because one day you'll be on this platform.
Wow.
And I said, never in a million years. And he went, you will. Yeah.
Look at you now.
I know.
I mean, that is an amazing story, especially from your daughter saying,
I know.
And this is how, you know, me and Chris today have spoken about misconstruing statements and symbols. We get them wrong. We're so conditioned. Your daughter's telling you something, you're going, but it wasn't what you thought it was. But you can imagine your child saying, yeah, you're going to die when you're 37, Mum. Okay, then you get sick. Then it's the brain. Yeah. What's going on? So, yeah, actually, you could, if you know, you could say on an esoteric level, you did die, and you just rebirthed as something else, a medium. Yeah. That's when you went to go. So, well, Chris, we are soon to run out of time on the show. Kate Green, we cannot thank you enough.
Thanks.
We do apologise for this morning, and we are so grateful, and all our viewers are, that you rearranged your whole day to fit into the show.
Always.
So, thank you so much, and we look forward to having you on future shows. We'll be doing. Me and Chris are talking about doing some panels on very out there things. Oh yes. So, but before we close today, I would just like to give an announcement for next week's Saturday live show, if Virgin Media allows us. So next week we have Nuno Bastos, and he's joining us to talk about his recent journey into palmistry, which has led him now to become a teacher in this field. Nuno will be sharing with us his journey on how he became a palm reader. I love palm reading, and I can't wait. I want to
start. Yeah.
I've always wondered, how do they do it? And I know it's ancient. It goes back. Yeah. So it's something that's sort of disappeared, but now coming back. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you to all our viewers that are watching us or will watch us on the rerun. Thank you for your ideas, your support. It's been wonderful, Chris, hasn't it?
Yeah, I loved every minute. I've loved your stories, Kate.
Brilliant.
Nice listening to them. I just think it's amazing. Someone knocked on the door. Yeah, come in. Come on, mate. Come in my house. Come and say hello.
Well, he's not going to let that one go, is he? That's staying with him now. You know, it's just, he's going, whoa. You know, I'm going to tell that story. That's going to go around the houses now, Kate. But it's a beautiful example about what spirituality is about. It's about the normality of it.
Yes. Yes.
You don't have to sit in a circle to be a medium or be spiritual. Spirituality is a way of life.
It is.
It's a way of life.
Part of you.
It's everywhere. Okay, then. On that note, Kate, thank you so much. Kate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, one more thing. If anyone is interested in your work and what you do, where can they sort of make contact with you? Do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page, Kate Green Medium, but we also have there's some brilliant mediums come on and help us. We have Eternal Spirit Online team, and then we run a church called Connections of Light, Spiritualist Church Darwin. So yeah, there's groups and a page for that as well. So if they need any help or any questions or if they're just an interest, they're quite welcome to join us.
Okay, so you've heard that. We will put Kate's links on the page today at some point. So if you're interested in anything Kate does, you'd like to ask her some questions about anything that we've spoken about today or anything else you've got questions about that we haven't addressed, please contact Kate Green on a Facebook page, and I'm sure she will help you. That's wonderful, Kate. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Chris, can I say it? Are you ready? You ready, Chris? And it's good night from him.
And good night from her.
And thank you, everybody, for joining the show. Till next week. Bye.
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 Bye.